flames nor the depths could claim me.
Hey, how's it going everyone? I'm Solarbacca. I'm bringing you guys today another video. Today we are talking about Gangplank's itemization in Season 12. So as always, if you guys do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, comment down below what you want to see next, subscribe, and also check me out on twitch.tv/Solarbacca. I do plan to do a facecam stream. It will be announced, but follow me just so you guys can see in real time when that's happening. So without further ado, let's get started. So first things first, versus tanks or free farm matchups, we start tier. The reason why we start tier, you're not spending 500 gold on Corrupting Potion, allows you to get to your Mana Moon Power Spike way faster, and by the 13 to 16 minute mark, your tier should already be stacked up, allowing you to get Mura Mana, which is about 80 AD. Once you complete it, it's like 70 to 80 AD, I believe, and allows you to get big crits later on in the game. This whole build is about scaling. You're not supposed to go this every game like I have for a while. I admit it was a mistake to go it every single game. I believe it's only good versus tanks or free farm matchups to melt every single person in the game. Obviously it takes way more gold, which is why you should only do it in free farm matchups. So we start off with the Essence Reaver. We build into that Mana Moon, which should be stacked, like I said, about 15 minutes in. We've got the Lucidity Boots because we're in a free matchup. Prowler's Claw, best mythic for giving you the most damage. Duskblade is also has its own strengths, but the CDR is not necessary with this build since you already should have about 85 haste with Transcendence. Right after that, we're building the LDR instead of Collector because at that point in the game, once you're around the 4 item mark, everyone has high enough base armor where LDR just outshines Collector. Next, we have Infinity Edge. This allows you to hit those 2.2k barrels that absolutely one-shot. And again, you can't go this build every single game despite it being extremely strong because you're missing certain power spikes at certain points in the game that are very crucial. When you do it versus tanks, you don't miss out on those spikes because you're making up so much gold so quickly from first strike, not going Corrupting Pot, so that's 400 gold going towards your item instead of 500 gold not going towards an item, and you have your Q farm. All of those things combined allow you to go this build and be so insanely strong. However, you don't get tanks every game, and that brings us into our second build. So versus skill matchup, Wu, Kennen, Teemo, Jax, Kled, and some other ones, it's up to interpretation on your end. I always go Corrupting Pot start, and next you can either build Tabbies or Lucidity Boots. Tabbies I would recommend versus those matchups that are really auto attack oriented, such as Jax. All he can do is auto attack you. He has no other damage besides his counter strike, which is like 40 magic damage. He's just autoing you. That's all he's trying to do. So you can go Tabbies into the matchup if you feel like, damn, I don't want to get Jaxed, you know, he might be 0-5, but he can still one-shot me. Let me just get Tabbies to make sure he can never kill me. Or you can go Lucidity Boots. I tend to go Lucidity Boots because I'm very confident in my mechanics. And next up, we have the Prowler's Claw. As you can see, there's no Mana Moon in this build. We're just building the Prowler's Claw to get our mythic right away and build straight into crit. Third item is up to you of what you want to build. You can either get Collector, LDR, or Mortal Reminder. If they have healers, then you go Mortal Reminder. If they don't have healers, then you either go LDR or Collector. So the reasoning behind Collector or LDR, look at their armor. Do they have any armor items? Are they squishy? If they're squishy champions like Lux, Nami, Misfortune, Kindred Jungle, you're playing versus, I don't know, like Singed top lane or Swain top lane, some weird stuff like that, you know what I mean? If you're playing against all those squishy champs, go Collector. If you're not, go LDR. LDR will be better about 70% of the time because typically a team always has at least 1 or 2 people that build armor, whether it be a Zhonya's or just Tab. Right after you complete that item, you build Infinity Edge. After you complete that Infinity Edge, you finish the item that you need. So if you built LDR earlier, now you build Collector after your Infinity Edge. If you built Collector, now you build LDR after your Infinity Edge. Really good build. I'm going to be going this build 95% of the time because this is a build that screams carry and screams I'm going to one-shot you and I will carry the game. So this is the build that I go. I would 100% recommend it. Next thing we have is hard matchups. So whenever you play versus Aurelia, Lucian, Jace, Camille, or Gwen, you can't really go Essence Reaver because you'll be punished. You'll be punished really hard. And the reasoning for that is, like I said, if you go Essence Reaver, it doesn't matter how many deaths they have, they will still kill you, unfortunately. Because their champions are just made to be easier to execute than your champion, which is the unfortunate reality that is part of Gangplank. But to combat this, we go this setup. We start Corrupting Potion, we go Grasp into all of these matchups, we go Trinity Force. The build path for Trinity is significantly healthier than Essence Reaver. You have the Kindle Gem, which you can always purchase. You also have the Dagger, which is so nice on Gangplank, getting any form of attack speed, and obviously the Sheen. When completed, it's also the best dueling mythic. Super, super, super good at dueling anyone. Will do so much damage, and it's not reliant on a crit. It's just your damage, which always feels nice. Depending on how ahead you are, you can either go Lucidity Boots or Tabbies. Merc Treads are never worth going on Gangplank, ever. And next item that you can get is either Axiom Arc, Mortal Reminder, LDR, Infinity Edge. So let me touch on Axiom Arc. Now it's getting nerfed in the next patch as of the making of this video to 20%, but I still believe it is worth going because if you look at Youmuu's is also 3,000 gold. But since you're always building Mortal Reminder for that movement speed, typically building Mortal Reminder, you don't really need the movement speed that Youmuu's gives you. And you're actually getting way more haste from Axiom for only 8 lethality less, which I think is negligible, that 8 lethality. What else? The passive that you get on this for your ulti is so nice, even because you're always going to get at least 2 people in your ulti. That's 40% as of the next patch, 40% off of your ulti. And because you don't build too much haste, well, actually after Axiom you should have like 65 haste or something around that nature. It just always feels so nice. I highly recommend building Axiom second item versus those hard matchups, and then you build into your Mortal Reminder. Now obviously if you're versus a matchup that's very difficult like Aurelia, and she also heals a lot, before even completing your Trinity Force, you could build at Executioners, but I highly recommend you complete Mortal Reminder. The movement speed you get, the attack speed you get, feels really nice. Super cheap crit item, and then you build into your Lord Dominic's. It's not even a competition at that point. You never go Collector as a 4th item. If you ever build it, it would be a 3rd item. LDR takes the place, takes the cake as your 5th item, and your 6th item is Infinity Edge. Now this build does do slightly less damage than the Essence Reaver build. It's a pretty noticeable gap, but Trinity Force is ultimately healthier and you still do a bunch of damage. So I 1000% recommend this into the Aurelia matchup, especially because this is what I go versus Aurelia. I think Aurelia is one of those champions that's picked super often into Gangplank, and I think this build is really the Aurelia Slayer. Next thing we have is even/ahead, but enemy has 2+ shields and 2+ healers. So whenever you're against comps that have 2+ shields and 2+ healers, this is the only build you can go. I don't think you should go any other build. I made a build video a few months back demonstrating this exact build actually, and it was a great build before the crit rework. It's super good. It was a core build, really awesome. With the crit rework, this build became a little bit obsolete in the sense that crit was just always better. However, this build still has its place. It's still the king about 10% of the time when they have 2+ shields and 2+ healers. Corrupting Pot, Trinity, Gangplank for the ability haste and for the HP. Lucidity, same reason, haste, HP. Sorry, not HP, you get the haste. Serpent's Fang, very good item on Gangplank. It applies on your ulti, applies on your barrels, applies on every single ability you have. Your ulti applies it over and over along with the Corrupting Potion. Super good item on Gangplank versus shields. You should never be shy of building it. Very good item. Very cheap items as well, 26. And lastly, you can't pivot into crit at this point, and I don't recommend pivoting into crit when you're building utility Gangplank because your goal is just to apply all these debuffs. You'll still do damage. You're not doing 2.2 thousand damage, but you're still doing around 800 damage a barrel, 700 damage a barrel while applying those debuffs. So when you think about it, if you did 2.2k on a crit barrel, that's great. How much of that was shielded? 700. You go this build, you do 800 damage a barrel, well, you technically did like 1300 or 1200 because their serpents, their shields were reduced by 50%. So the trade-off is actually significant when you're playing versus these shield comps and versus these healing comps. It's so much more effective. So don't ego it. Don't just go for the crit no matter what. This is the build to go. The Zonias will make sure you never die in a side lane. You can team fight. You can be a fake front line. You can bait. You have AP ratios on your ulti. 90% AP ratio on your orange. Very good build when you can build it. And last item, Demonic Embrace. It's just a good last item. If you're building it as a 6th item, usually everyone's around level 18. Their base health is super high. You're melting them for that percent health HP. You're a melee champion, so it gives you the 2%, applies on your ulti. Really good item. The next build that we have is when the enemy has 2+ shields, but no healers. You go Corrupting Paw, and based off of your matchup, whatever category they go into, whether it's a hard matchup or a skill matchup or a tank matchup, whichever it is, you can either go Trinity or Essence Reaver. Then you go into Lucidity Boosts or Tabbies. You build Serpents right away. You don't build it third, you don't build it fourth, you build it second, no matter what. Trinity or Essence, then you build the Serpent's Fang. After you build the Serpent's Fang, you go Prowlers if you have Essence Reaver, or if you're playing Trinity, you just go LDR. And as a fourth item, which I actually forgot somehow to include, is actually Navori. This is probably the only time you would ever build Navori, ever, on Gangplank, is if you're doing this build path, where you're against 2+ shields, you just build your Trinity, you can now pivot into your Serpent's Fang, into your LDR or Navori, whichever one you have more gold for, however the gold is coming in. You build it into whichever one you didn't build after that, and then Infinity Edge. I don't think you should pair Collector and LDR. I think you should definitely build Navori instead of Collector, and then build LDR, whichever order you see fit, and then Infinity Edge. If you're going the Essence Reaver build, it would be Essence into Serpent's Fang, into either LDR or Navori, right after you complete your Prowlers. So if you're going the Essence Reaver build, you would go Essence, Serpents, Prowlers, LDR, Infinity Edge. And that build will hit like a truck as well. And this is only for if the enemy has 2 or more shields, but no healers. Finally, we have the for fun AP Gangplank build. Woohoo! We made it, guys. AP Gangplank. Woohoo! So this is what we got. We've got Lichbane. We've got Lucidity Boots, which I think are way better than Sorc Shoes. Magi. Everyone needs a Magi. You always need a Magi in AP Gangplank no matter what. I don't care if you have 0 stacks or 0 and 6. Everything's looking gloom. You want to FF, you want to scale into the next game. Don't care. Build the Magi. It will be rewarding. It will be rewarding. Trust me, you have my blessing. Next item, we have Liandry's. Now, I think there's room to experiment with Gangplank mythics, but I believe Liandry's to still be the best mythic on Gangplank for AP Gangplank. I think the percent health damage you do is just too good. The fact that it applies on your barrels, it applies on your Q, it applies on your ulti, I think it's too strong to miss out on. And the mythic passive is nice to have. The haste that you get, really, really nice. If you build the Magi's, you have 5 haste from here, 5 haste from Lichbane, that's 10 haste. So you're actually getting 30 haste upon completion of this item. Next item we have is Axiom Arc. So this is probably one that shocks some people. I've played so many games of AP Gangplank with Axiom Arc, and I enjoyed it. It was great. Axiom feels like an awesome item on AP Gangplank. And you know why it's good too? So the thing with Axiom, you have to damage them within the last 3 seconds, right? Well, here's a little trick. Liandry's burns people for 4 seconds. So when your ulti's applying, that's 1 second right there. You know, it keeps applying, it keeps applying. The second they leave your ulti, you have 4 seconds of damage that follows them. And then you have 3 more seconds for them to die. So Liandry's plus Axiom buys you so much time to get your ult refreshed by Axiom. And even though it'll only get 20% next patch, I think when you're playing AP Gangplank, you're only concerned about your ultimate. And that's why you should build Axiom Arc on AP Gangplank. At this point, when you're at 4 or 5 items, Demonic Embrace, I think, outshines Rabadon's because your AP ratios on your ulti are not that good. They're very good on your orange, but they're not that good on your ulti. You don't just build Rabadon's willy-nilly. You build it whenever you have really good ratios. So I would just build Demonic Embrace. Honestly, I would probably just build Demonic Embrace and get that burn damage to combine with Liandry's along with that Axiom. It also burns for 4 seconds. Also applies on your barrels, applies on your Q. And next, last item, you would build either Rabadon's or a Void Staff. Now, Void Staff would be more towards your ulti, or sorry. Yeah, it would be more towards your ulti and more towards your barrels because your barrels are going to be applying AP damage. So it would be nice if they had MR. But ultimately, your damage is not really coming from Magic Pen. It's mostly coming from the burn that you do on your ulti and on your barrels from the Liandry's and Demonic. So probably just Rabadon's is the only good item. The only other item I could probably think of as a potential last item is maybe Cosmic, but I know it's getting nerfed to the next patch as well. Either Cosmic or Horizon Focus would probably be it. Yeah. Probably Horizon Focus, honestly, because it gives you that damage from slows at long distances. So I'd probably just build Horizon. It'd be a Horizon for sure. Oh, look at that. I already had a build before I made this video. I thought of it, I theory crafted, and then I thought of one on the spot. Let's go. Woohoo! So yeah, this is looking like my final build. We got Lichbane, Lucidity, Magi, Leandries, Axiom, Demonic, and then last item, Horizon Focus with an Elixir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you don't go Magi's, you sell Boots and you get Rabadon. Or you get Cosmic for the movement speed. Lastly, I know this has been a crazy ride, boys, but we're not done just yet. We have one last build. For all of you Tryndamere players, I'm your worst nightmare. Every Gangplank player should be your worst nightmare. You know why? Tryndamere can go 0-10 and he's still winning versus Gangplank. That's the reality. Unfortunately, Tryndamere can be 0-10 versus Gangplank. I've played versus the best Tryndameres in NA. I think I played versus them in EU too, some of them. And let me tell you, 0-10 is still winning for Tryndamere. All he does is side lane. This is the build. It doesn't matter if you're ahead. It doesn't matter if you're behind. You go this build and Tryndamere cannot play the game. Corrupting Pot, Tabby, Sheen, Warden's Mail, Trinity Force, immediately Zonias. You ulti under your tower, when he dives you, press Zonias, he can't kill you. I promise you he can't kill you. Send me a clip of him killing you after using those items and I'll give you a hug, a virtual hug. You know what I mean? Like, dude, he cannot kill you with these items. Next, you complete your Warden's Mail into the Randuins. And if you want, you could go Thornmail or you could go Titanic. You could also go at Titanic because you have a bunch of health now. This is how you kill Tryndamere players in game. And that is a very passionate way to end the Season 12 item guide for Gangplank. If it changes, I will update it. If you guys want real life changes, real life builds, want to see this in action, check me out at twitch.tv/Solarbacca. I am out of here. Love you guys. Thank you for the support and have a good day. Bye-bye.